Hi, everyone, and welcome. Today, I have a very special guest. All my guests are special to me. But I have my good friend, Analisa, here to share with us about her grief journey. So, yeah, Anna, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are going to be talking about today?
Yes. So my name's Analisa, and then this is my mom, Irene. I'll be talking about her today and the grief journey I've had since we've lost her almost 6 years now to cancer. But my name is Analisa, and I'm 33 years old. During the day, I work in pediatrics as a medical assistant, mainly with refugee families. And then at night, I teach salsa and bachata at a dance studio here in San Diego. I grew up in San Diego. I have my sister and my dad. But yeah, so today I'll be talking about our mom, Irene.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that picture of you too. That's a really good one.
Thank you. It was at the David Crowder. I almost say Crowder because as a joke, she would say that to make me mad. But that was at a concert, and then Ren Collective. So
yeah, fun.
She
I love
loved
that
it.
she was your concert buddy.
Yeah, she was.
Well, speaking of her, what is some of the things you want to share about her? Just her personality and things that she enjoyed or things that you guys did together.
Well, she was very sassy. But besides that, she was also like family oriented. She was very giving, so kind and very strong. She would do whatever she can to help people. Like even if she didn't have the resources, she would make it happen somehow. And I really like that about her because I feel like I get that from her too.
Mm. Yeah. And kind of like what you said in the beginning, like your day profession is in pediatrics.
Mhm.
Yeah. Kind of maybe share just really quickly about how you even got, into that.
Oh yeah. Well, my mom always she told me that I was great with kids, but I didn't really see it. But now working in pediatrics, I have seen that I've always babysat and something about children that I want to protect them. And she had a big inspiration in my life with that because she worked for UCSD in healthcare for 39 years.
Wow.
I know. She would always be like, you should be a nurse. You should work in healthcare. You'd be great at it. And we never want to do what our mom tells us to do.
Facts.
We're independent. But the reality was that she did know what my heart would feel more joy and more like secured in as a profession. So I pursued school after she had passed away. I pursued medical assistant as my first step. And I was offered a pediatric position. I was like, of course, I would work with kids. And it's been an adventure. I love it. I definitely have no fear when it comes to protecting them and helping them feel better, even in cases of emergencies. I'm one of the first people there, and I'm trusting God in those moments. And I believe my mom really inspired me to take that step in protecting people my whole life. She always had told me that you're always first to respond when someone's in need. And so I see that today. And it's really sweet that it's like with these families who come here to the country with nothing. And I get to be I feel a moment of joy for them in such a hard time. And so, yeah, that's what I do during the day.
Yeah. And I could totally see how your mom played like a huge role in that for you and like encouraging you and like that drive to pursue this. Is there some things you want to share just about your mom and, missing her and things that, you wish she was still here and getting to experience with her?
Yeah, I definitely, well, of course we miss them when we lose our loved ones. I think the most right now, especially as I'm growing in life as a young woman and pursuing new things, it's a little difficult to do things without her here, but I still do it. I'm trusting God in it, but also like, man, like I don't know about you, but I miss that they're missing out on the celebrations or the milestones because you could just imagine how they would respond. I miss her advice. I'm like, she was the person I would run to in the moment of any despair or like, how do you do this adulting life? She was a strong pillar in our family. And so I miss that. I miss that she had the leadership role in our family. And because when she had passed away, I had to step up in that sense in my family. And it's been a lot harder, but also like I'm trying to give myself grace in those moments of like, you're not perfect and that's okay. And God has like really blessed me with community within like not only dance community, but with that restored church. I have people who I can call on to help me, or the mother figures in our church, all the aunties like give me advice. But yeah, of course, I miss my mom's advice. And sometimes I do hear her voice when I'm about to do something silly. She's like, I don't know about that.
I love that.
Or she's like, are you sure you want to do that right now?
Yeah, that's sweet. I know, like, you mentioned in the beginning, your mom had cancer. As much as you don't feel comfortable and sharing just about, where were you and just like that time of, when your mom was passing and kind of just that time. Let's see.
Yeah, it was it's kind of silly, but not silly, but not the normal when someone is passing. It was pretty peaceful for us in a sense that she was in hospice at home and I was her caretaker. And she passed away on the 24th of December. And it's the middle, right before Christmas. And we had a lot of family over the day before. And my sister and I were just there at home with our mom. She was sleeping. And all the family had left already from the house. So we were like quieting down. My dad went to go take a nap. And I remember like me and my sister just had this great rush of energy. And she's like, oh, let's put like the Christmas Carol on. And I was like, oh, okay. I love a Christmas Carol. Like it was our family favorite. So we put it on. And then she's like, let's wrap all the kids' gifts because Christmas is the next day. So we were like wrapping gifts, mom's sleeping, dad's sleeping. And we had the hospital bed like in the living room. So she was like, we're easy access. And me and my sister were just having a Christmas moment. And I believe that was just so sweet because we were able to still celebrate something so special to us as a family. But then my mom, in those moments, she started to decline even more. And because I was the caretaker, I had to call hospice. And the nurse, I had the sweetest nurse on the phone with me. And she's like, I just need to know, like, how's she looking? I'm like, she's gasping. And I was like, she's taking really shallow breaths now. And she's like, your mom is passing. She's like, it's okay to hold her hand and just help her through it and tell her that she's going to be okay. And I remember like in those moments, I was just telling her like, don't worry about us. Like God will take care of us. I was like, it's okay, because she was so strong in her faith. I remember a couple days before, we just had a moment together, and it was like 2 a.m. She had her day and night mixed up. So I was up with her, and she had told me, she's like, because I was a believer too. And she told me in those moments, like, I don't want you to forget who God is to you and who you are to him, because this is something really hard happening for you. And I was like, okay, Mom, like, leave me alone. It's okay. She's just like, no, really. Like, she is all about making sure that I remembered who God was. And in that moment, coming back to that night when I was on the phone with the nurse holding her hand, I would never think at 26 years old, I would be watching my mom take her last breath. It was surreal, I would say, and also very like, this is just life to death. The moments after, I had the feeling of responsibility. I had to take care of all of the, I guess, the official records, signing papers with the coroners because I was the caretaker, and making a report how everything had happened. I feel like that's when I realized, like, life isn't going to be the same.
Yeah. Do you kind of remember at all, like, just even how your body was feeling, or your mind, or like your emotions? Do you kind of remember?
I remember, that feeling, like you feel like you're in your body, but you're not. I felt like I was watching from the outside as the hospice nurse was there throwing out all the medication and asking me to like check everything with him. I could see from the outside, like, my family was there by our side as the coroners came and took my mom. Like, it was just like, I was just watching and seeing how, like, my sister was responding, and her reaction was very, like, heartbreaking, and having to stand up and be there for her, and my dad too. I remember in my body that I was tired, like, just like, whoa, like, this is super heavy.
Yeah.
It was already heavy being her caretaker, and day in, day out, like, watching her decline, but just to see it completely finish, it was very heavy. And I remember that night, as everybody left the house, my aunt, who was there a lot of the times during the treatment and the process, she had pulled me aside and had told me, like, you did it. Like, you were strong. And she had told me, like, your mom loves you, and she saw you, and we see you. And I just felt like a release of, like, okay, like, this really just happened.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that outer body experience you're having. Yeah. But then also feeling like you kind of had to be so, like, present because, the nurse is there, and then the coroners come, and then they're asking you questions, and kind of just, and then, being with your sister and your dad, just all the different, emotions and responsibility that comes with at that time, in those moments. Yeah. What would you say, like, your grief feels like or looks like for you?
My grief, I would say in the beginning, it was very rough. I mean, it would be rough for anybody to lose a loved one. And I know, like, specifically, I didn't want to be home because every time I came home, I was reminded of what we went through.
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't there when I get home. Like you get used to routine as a human, and my routine was totally shaken. And it hurt my heart that I couldn't like sit on her bed anymore while she did her makeup and talk to her about my day or show her like what I did at work or anything like that. Like it really hurt me to come home and I couldn't sleep. So that's in the time that she had got diagnosed with cancer, I'd started salsa dancing as like a way for me to get out of my head.
Mm-hmm.
It was a place that I can go and forget about what's really happening at home. And so when she had passed away, I never wanted to be home. So I was always training. I was at socials dancing for hours. Like I'd be up and just like go and then be able to get up really early the next morning and continue my day. I wasn't coping healthily in that way with dance because I know today now I'm an instructor and people are like, you got so good so fast. I was like, yeah, you have no idea why. It's because I was running from my pain and from my hurt. I believe in the 2 years after, that's when I had decided to take a step back and really see if there's a way I can get help. Fortunately, before that, that's where like I got closer to you. It was because we started the Harbor, which is like the group of us that had experienced grief within the same time frame.
Yeah.
And I know that there were other ways to go to like Grief Share or like another ministry to hear about how to deal with your grief. But I think because I tried that so early in my grief journey, I wasn't in a receiving place. I was so shocked still.
Yeah.
But finding the Harbor, I found a community of friends that were genuine. And the safety of the Harbor made it really easy for us to be vulnerable and for myself to be vulnerable and process like those real feelings, especially like the fear. I think the biggest thing for me was fear. I was afraid of being alone without family because my mom was the one who gathered all the family all the time. I was so afraid of losing like my home because financially I wasn't stable. I'm still learning, and like she was the one who covered all the finances and like did all that hard work behind the scenes. And my dad and I were trying to figure things out. So there's a lot. It was so hard. So, but through the Harbor, I was able to find that safe place to grieve and also realize that what I was feeling was normal.
Yeah.
And it was okay. And then to hear the other people in the group shared their journey and like what they're feeling, like it brought a comfort that I would never get.
Yeah. Would you say that was kind of one of the most helpful, or one of the like thing that was really like helpful for you in that season, even now? Like what is that for you think, in grief?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I believe it's a big staple in my life, especially learning to grieve. And also now I believe like my grief and my pain that I've experienced is no longer like just for me to keep and hold. But I feel like God's inviting me to use it to help others who have not like understand what they're feeling Because I get it.
Mhm.
Like you get, I feel you just get that stabbing feel in your chest and you just don't know what to do with it. And I'm so thankful that God had that grace for me to find that release in through the harbor.
Yeah. So for you, it'd be like having a support group of friends. Was there something tangible that was helpful for you, like people would do for you or ask you or?
Oh yeah, I would have friends like come and just sit with me when it didn't make sense. I know that it's nice to have those close friends with you when, even if you're not talking about your grief, but you have that, I guess, company.
And like that understanding.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but for me, I feel like sometimes it's hard for people to reach out to, us, people who have experienced loss for many different reasons. It could be that they feel uncomfortable or they feel, insecure about saying the right thing or doing the right thing. And then they end up not doing anything, or there's shame because they haven't reached out and they like see us somewhere and we're like out and about, And so I think it's just important to always express that like there really isn't a right thing to say.
Yeah.
Because they're right. There's no words I'm sure someone has given you, which they've meant from such a loving place, but there really are no words. So I love that you experience real friendship of just people sitting with you, because that's huge. And I don't think a lot of people that have experienced grief have experienced that, or people who know someone, and if they're willing to do that, because it's weird, right? Because you can just be sitting there and it's quiet, right?
Yeah, it's like, what do you do when they start ugly crying?
Yes.
What is safe? And I think the biggest thing, some of my closest friends have like, we have this open communication. Like I've told them, like, just be with me.
Yeah.
Like it's okay. Like if you don't know what to say, and I get it. It's uncomfortable. I've been on the other end of where like my friends have lost their loved ones, and I'm just like, how can I be there for them? And I'll simply ask, like, how can I be there for you? Like what is helpful for you in this? Or what can my role be in this for you as your friend?
Yes.
And because I know that's on the receiving end, that is hard. Like, and sometimes you don't know what you can get as help. You're like, I'm not sure, but maybe just show up.
Yes.
And if by you just showing up, I'm sure we'll find something that can be helpful.
Yeah. I think that's so huge and really important to express and share that, maybe you don't know what you need, but just saying like, just come over, just hang out with me, or keep texting me, even if I don't respond, like just reading your texts is like, it helps me not feel alone, or to know that I have someone praying for me on my behalf, maybe even when I can't, and I don't have the words, or you're struggling. That's super, super helpful. What would you say would be something that you were kind of surprised to learn about yourself now experiencing grief?
Oh, how I can't, like, I don't know how to ask for help. Yeah.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. I didn't realize how independent I was until I lost my mom, because she, and not only her, but our whole family, like we've been taught how to take care of ourselves. Like at a young age, I was diagnosed with diabetes type 1. And so she taught me how to take responsibility of my health. And she also taught me how to make a way to help myself get out of situations. And so when she passed away and, my sister and my dad are like, let's have the services in 4 days.
That was insane.
It was so insane. I remember just be like, well, how is this going to happen? And they're looking at me because they're like, oh, like Analisa will make it happen. I was like, Lord help me.
Yeah.
But that's when I had to realize, like, that's why we're given community. Maybe someone's in the community, but they don't realize the purpose of community. Not only like to me, I had to like think about, oh, like I am in this group of people of the common, I guess like common faith or common, like, I can't find the word for it, but we all have a common idea that we share. And so, for example, like with Restored, I was in that community. And then
Restored
my dance,
church.
Restored Church. And then with dance community, I was like, okay, we need help. And man, like you guys were there, even in the ugly parts. And our family is so grateful for that. We definitely like that void of like no family when my mom passed away got filled with you guys. And so I had to learn to also trust God that he will do what he says. I didn't realize how much disbelief I had until I went through my grief. I even was trying to run to like sin to try to fill that void. I had forgotten who God was to me and who I was to him. But he's been so gracious. And so I think maybe there's people out there who are in community and they've experienced a great loss. And they don't know how to ask for help. Like, I know for me, it felt shameful to or guilty to, but that's not God's intention.
Yeah.
And we're in community for a reason, because we're to grieve together, to not only have celebration together, but even the hard times we're supposed to gather.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Really, the body of Christ, hands and feet of Jesus. And so, yeah, I'm glad that you got to experience like in tangible ways for sure. I mean, you're kind of going into it, but just, how has your faith changed and since experienced grief and just even that journey between like you and God?
Yeah. So it was a rough roller coaster. In the beginning, you hear all the verses of like, Jesus wept. I was like, yes, he did. And I'm weeping now. Or he never leaves you. And I'm like, okay. I started to, for the first time in my walk with Jesus, to question, what do I believe? Like, who am I? And why would he allow this? Like, my mom did so many great things for people. And it's not about like what she did, but her heart.
Yeah.
And the life that like she had. And I was very like confused. I was in a sense of like, man, like now I got to deal with all this. Now, like you left this in my hands. And the relationship between me and my dad was very hard. Between me and my sister was very hard because we were all grieving and we didn't know how to like, I guess, get through it. I know I started because I didn't like completely sit in my grief in the beginning. I tried to run to other things because I started to disbelieve who God was in my life. I ran from the community that he had gifted me with. And I realized while I was wandering and trying to fill that void of loneliness and insecurity with sexual sin or trying to just dance my life away. I turned something that was meant for good and purity into something unhealthy. And it was actually hurting me more. But because through that, and I realized through therapy, because I started therapy on my grief journey. I had realized and I learned a lot of great things about myself and how I don't like to listen or I'm afraid. And so I try to run. But God was showing me in this season of when I was wandering, what really helped me turn back to Him and to believe in Him again was the moment when I realized He never changed His mind about me. And He also calls me His daughter, regardless of what I chose to do.
Yes. Yeah. So good.
And it's like, and it's crazy because my mom, I remember I did something like really bad once. We're not confessing on here.
Yeah. I mean, whatever you want to share. Just kidding.
But I remember that I was struggling in something very personal and she had found out about it. And she, instead of like shaming me or making me feel really bad, she told me that all I see you as is my daughter. And she's like, because also God sees you as His daughter.
Yeah.
And I see you as His daughter. Like anything you do can't change who you are to me. And I felt like God was sharing that with me when I finally realized like what I was doing in my sin wasn't ever going to fulfill what I felt I was missing. He was like, I got you. Like, you're still mine.
Yeah.
I never changed my mind about you, and I will never change my mind about you. And that had changed my route in faith to where like, yeah, I am a Christian. I am a believer because God does love me. And He's so gracious to me. And because of that, I want to help other people.
Yeah. So it's like you experience His grace in like real and new ways. And then also just like that constant reminder that like even despite our sin and how our faith can waver, like God has been consistent and has stayed the same throughout all of that. And so, yeah, thank you for sharing that. And that's like really real, super real, to even like question God and ask God and not feel ashamed in doing that because that He wants that. Like He can handle that. He can take that, those questionings and the anger, the pain, the doubts, the fears, like He wants to take that from us, and we don't have to keep that in or hold that in. So I'm glad that you got to experience that, in a real way with Him. Is there, I'm just looking at the picture of your mom. Is there something that you and your sister, your dad, or anyone in your family that you guys continue to do to kind of like celebrate and honor and remember your mom?
Yes. So for every December 24th, because it's like holiday season, everybody's getting with their families. I've personally come up with, I do like a breakfast with my closest friends, those who have been there in my grief journey with me and who knew my mom, to in the morning to remember her. Like we do coffee, like the donuts and all that.
Yeah.
Just because, and also we try to do something crafty because she was so crafty. And that was one thing like I enjoy. I like to be crafty. I get that from her a lot. And to be sitting with friends, to also take a moment in a time of like parties and celebrating, but take a moment of like, this day also is a moment that was really hard for us, and to remember her. And it's been so sweet. Like, I have friends who know every Christmas Eve, they're like, okay, at one point Anna's gonna do her breakfast for her mom, and we're gonna be there. And I have the same people come, and it's been very I feel like very gifting to me too, and help me like be okay to not be okay on that day. Because I feel like a lot of people don't know that the freedom is there to feel how you feel when the holidays come up.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I think we forget that, yeah, we will be angry from the grief. They're not here. We're sad. But also there's a little fear there of like, what's the holiday going to look like without our loved one?
Yeah.
And that's been huge for us. And then also another little tradition we do, in La Jolla, there's a spot in the tide pools on Hospitals Beach. My mom used to take me there as a child every time I had a doctor's appointment at UCSD. Just to like relieve the stressors of seeing the doctor, and just play in the tide pools or walk on the cliffs and like just be near the water. So every time it's her birthday or the death anniversary, I bring her roses. There, she loved roses. I get her pink, lavender, all the different colors. And on her birthday, we do the same thing. And it's just a time for me to sit there, be somewhere that we have memories with her. My dad comes with me, but I climb the cliffs to go put the water on to put the roses on the water, because he can't get down there right now. But he watches me, and he likes to be there too. And so that's something really sweet. And I know my sister does, like, she does the table for the Day of the Dead back at home for her, just like we do the Remember event at Restored Church. She takes pictures, and she makes her favorite dishes she learned from mom. So that's really sweet. So yeah.
Yeah. I love that you have like those traditions, even though I know it's not easy, or when the date comes up, like, feelings can come up from that. But again, you're like, okay, God, like, I'm trusting you in this to like meet me in my grief. And this is hard, but like, it's important for me to continue to make these traditions to remember and honor my mom. So yeah, that's beautiful. I feel like I could just picture you like running around in the tide pools with your mom. That story. So thanks for sharing that.
Of course.
Yeah. What would you say, to someone that's just in the thick of grief right now, or maybe it's been a few years and they haven't, really been able to kind of be present or really dive deep in their grief? How can you like encourage them in that season of life and where they're at?
As I was thinking about, as I think about when I was in the thick of it, I remember it felt so unbearable. Like I didn't think, at times I didn't think I was going to make it the next day. The pain in your chest, you feel like, I don't know, maybe there's people who can relate to this, but I used to go to sleep with chest pain. I'm like, maybe if I go in my sleep, that's it. It's cool. Like, I was okay because the pain was so unbearable. And I want people to know that that's okay, but don't give up. That it will pass, even though if you can't look till tomorrow, that's okay. Just look to the next moment. I know some people may say, oh, it's just for a season, or there's always tomorrow. And I felt tomorrow was so far in those moments.
Yeah.
So I started to tell myself, well, it's just moment by moment, Analisa. Like, you don't have to think about tomorrow. You can just think about, let's get through this moment and move forward. I know sometimes we may get stuck, and it's okay to ask for help when you get stuck. I believe sometimes we get afraid of what people may think of us when we're in our like most ugliest moments in grief. But the real friends you have, they won't change their mind about you in those moments. I've definitely experienced that. And I would also like to say, like, I don't think our grief and our sorrow is just for nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It causes the longing for what really matters. I have like my little niece and my nephew, and I do spend a lot of time with little ones that are really close to me. And I had one of them recently, my dance director's daughter, that I started taking care of right when my mom was getting sick. She got born that year, so she's been really close to me. And she had asked me, like, wait, where is your mom? I was like, oh, she's in heaven. And she's like, oh. And she had said, I have a family member in heaven. So your mom's with my friend, with my family. I was like, yes. And then she asked me, she's like, she's probably 5 years old, just asking me, like, does it hurt?
Wow.
And I was like, it does, but it's okay. She's like, okay. Like, just
that childlike faith, man, of just no hindrance. Yeah.
But I think we forget that we do have people who want to help. And like you said earlier, like, they don't know how. And I just would encourage people to be okay with the feelings they're feeling, and to really, even though it hurts and it's uncomfortable, to reach out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge. Because when you're in the thick of it, you may be having people that are reaching out. I mean, I remember people would text me and call me and leave me a voice message, and I might read it, I might listen to it, but I had zero energy to respond back, but I still felt covered. Like, I know there's people that love me. I know there's people that are praying for me. And even if I don't have the energy, it was just nice to know that, and feel the covering of, the power of prayer.
Yes.
But if you even have, a little ounce of energy to just say, I don't know what I need, but show up.
Yeah.
And just be in my life, or, send me gift cards so I can eat or feed my family, or, not have to worry about cooking, or send housekeepers or whatever, have me organize the services. Like, just being able to be okay with asking for help and receiving the help.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing too. Like, a big thing is receiving. I know for me, I know for you, like, we like to just do it all.
Yeah.
Take over the event. And like, I remember the morning of my mom's services, I show up and I'm like, all right, everything's in place. And then that's when I was like, whoa, I'm not that I'm saying goodbye to her, because she's had already gone, but like, this is me kind of like releasing her. Like, this is something I need to actually be present for.
Yeah.
And I remember my friends, like, that morning coming up to me at the church and were like, what do you need? I was like, here, just do this. Like, just giving it over. And it was in that moment where my sister and I were like, we need to be together and we need to be by my dad's side in this. And I think it's so easy for some people who are that type of person who wants to take control and want to make sure everything's great in the production, but then we forget, like, this is a life moment.
Yes.
To remember and also to grieve.
Mm-hmm.
And it may feel very scary and unsure, but I hope that they wouldn't miss that.
Yes. Yeah, that opportunity to like be present, because we don't get that moment back, you know? And so, yeah, that's a huge point for sure. Really relinquishing that control, you know, or fear. Yeah. And just to be present. So I have like this little question at the end that I ask everyone. So you kind of just get to like fill in the blank at the end.
Okay.
So it goes like this. My heart has a greater capacity to love others now because ... How would you fill in the blank? How does your heart have a greater capacity to love others now?
Because I truly do not believe that the pain and the sorrow I've experienced was for me to keep. I feel that there's so many people out there who are hurting and they don't know how to ask for help. And I was one of those people. And my heart, like, I just want to, like, I know sometimes we hear the word love and it's like butterflies and like happy, but also I've experienced love as in like, you're there in the ugly moments. And I feel like my heart has grown. The longing to help people who are grieving and have pain in their lives, and they don't know how to get out of that dark circle. And whether like they have faith or they don't have faith in God, I just like, I want to be that person for that person. Like, I want to just show up for people. Because I know when people did show up for me, that helped me realize, like, all right, I'm not alone. And this pain isn't for my carrying to myself only.
Yeah, your heart is just open to like people who are hurting because you're willing to go to those hard places with them, you know? And meet them, you know, where they're at and stuff. So, which is so huge and scary.
Yes.
But so important. So you not only do that as a job, you know, every day during the day and helping people, but also like even just the spiritual aspect of too, like praying for people and showing up for people. And yeah, I've definitely been on the receiving end of that. So I know that God's continually, you know, doing a work in your heart with that. So before we close, do you feel like there's anything else you want to say about your grief or about your mom?
Maybe just like, I'm grateful that I'm in this place now where I can openly talk about the grief. I know before I was reflecting on the beginning where I was just like very closed off. Nobody really saw me unless you were dancing or you're at my work or you're at Sunday at church. But I'm just so grateful that I found community in my grief, during my grief. And I don't know, like, I just feel like I just want to share that it never ends.
Yeah.
And you may hear it gets easier. I feel like the right word is manageable if you take the right steps. You reach out. It's okay to get therapy and talk to somebody about it. Even your friends, talk to God about it, but we're not even to talk to God alone in this. Like, He gives us a community for a reason. And I just want to share that, like, it's okay that you're not okay. It's okay that you aren't celebrating when it is a time of celebration. You have the freedom to hurt and grieve, even at maybe your cousin's birthday or your graduation, it's okay to miss that person because it only hurts so much when they leave us because we had so much love with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, so good. So true. Yeah. I love that you shared that. I think that's a really important key things, for someone going through grief. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on and sharing about your mom and your family and just your grief journey, your relationship with God and community, and just how things have helped shaped you in your grief. And I know that God is going to continue to use you as a light in this pain. I always feel like, just finding purpose in the pain, and not that he caused this to happen, but this is life, Adam and Eve, there's going to be death, but we don't have to stay in that. There's so much hope because of Jesus that we know this is not our home yet.
Yeah.
Until heaven. And then we get to be with Jesus and be with our loved ones. And so I'm just so encouraged by you and so, so proud of you.
Same. Well, thank you for inviting me. It's been fun. Well, it's grief.
Yeah. That ambivalent word. Grief and joy, they do exist.
They do.
All right. Well, that's it for today's episode. And I will see you on the next one. Bye, everyone. Thanks.